G'day humans, Stead from Finder here. Today I'm talking video game subscription services. Now Sony has just announced a remodeled PlayStation Plus plan for its PlayStation 5 console, which looks to try and compete with the super popular Xbox Game Pass service available from Microsoft. Now we're going to take a look at what both of these offer and see whether the new PlayStation Plus service equals what Microsoft offers or even betters it, and ultimately decide whether or not this changes the landscape of which is the right console for you. First, some context. Let me try and explain to you why Game Pass was such an important feature for the Xbox Series X console. Now, when these both came out, I'd argue that PlayStation 5 was probably the better of the two. It's more futuristic. It really tries to push gaming into new territories by using this super fast hard drive, this really innovative new DualSense controller, and also just having that VR component that you can plug in as well. So I actually really love the PlayStation 5 console, but the problem with it is it's just an expensive ecosystem to jump into. The DualSense controls are really, really expensive, and you can't use your old PlayStation 4 controllers with it if you want to play with, your kids or have friends over, that type of thing. The storage on this is not much smaller, but it is smaller than Xbox Series X, and you run out quickly, and expanding that hard drive is really, really, really expensive. And furthermore, if you want to buy a game for the PlayStation 5, a brand new first-party exclusive game, you're going to have to pay the full amount each time, which can be up to $100 here in Australia. That's going to add up really quickly. Now, the Xbox is definitely no mug. In fact, in terms of raw stats and power, it's actually more powerful than PlayStation 5. But it's a lot cheaper to run this puppy because you can actually use your old Xbox One controllers with it. Now, the controllers, it may seem superfluous because you get one with it, but the fact is that if you're paying $100 a pop for a new controller, then that's going to add up quickly if you're trying to get 3 controllers because you've got kids and a family to run. So the fact that you can use your old Xbox One controllers with this saves people a fair bit of money. On top of that, there's a bit more internal storage available, and it's not as expensive to upgrade it. So you get that extra storage easier and quicker. But the most important thing with the Xbox Series X is that you never have to pay for a game thanks to the Game Pass subscription service. It gives you access to a library of titles that you can download from, you're paying a monthly subscription fee of $10.95 here in Australia, and you get access to a huge library of fantastic games, including all the major first-party releases the day that they come out. And that, for me, in this post-COVID era when people are really struggling with money and trying to make smart decisions about every dollar that they spend, the fact that even the PlayStation 5 is the more futuristic and far-reaching console is muted by the fact that the Xbox Series X, despite being a bit more iterative than the PlayStation 5 is, the fact that you don't have to actually pay for games means you're probably going to save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in the long run with this computer, with this console, which therefore means that for my money, because of Game Pass, Xbox Series X was the best purchase. Now, the PlayStation 5 has been selling just fine. In fact, it's really hard to actually get, but that was the big hole when you're comparing the two consoles to each other. So, as of March 30, 2022, Sony has officially come out and announced an upgrade or a change or a remodeling to its PlayStation Plus service, which has been with us for a while. You now have 3 tiers to the service. Now, the basic PlayStation Plus Essential tier remains more or less unchanged in the PlayStation Plus you have right now. In fact, nothing even changes with the price, it just rolls over. If you're a PlayStation Plus member, you're now a PlayStation Plus Essential member. The middle tier is PlayStation Plus Extra, and this is the one that is aligned and competing with the Xbox Game Pass. Now, this is the service that will introduce to you an access to a subscription game library. And Sony is saying up to 400 games will be available through that service. Very interesting use of the word up to. Does that mean 400 out of the gate, near 400 out of the gate, or 400 eventually in a few years from now? That's unclear. But that is, the middle tier is kind of aligning it with that Game Pass middle tier on the Xbox console. Then you have a third tier, which is PlayStation Plus Deluxe. And that aligns or tries to align with the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is the biggest tier you can get on this console. And that opens it up to cloud streaming. In this case, with the PlayStation 5 Deluxe, you get retro games and you also get access to game trials. However, as I'll go into, when you compare that with what Xbox Game Pass Ultimate offers, it's not exactly an apples to apples comparison. Okay, so let's compare the prices between the two services. Now, the Australian pricing for the PlayStation Plus new plans hasn't been announced at the time that I'm saying this. The US prices have, so I can make a pretty good assumption of what we're going to see with the prices here in Australia based on what we're already seeing in terms of the exchange rates and so forth with the basic plan, which doesn't change in price. So the way that PlayStation does things is different from the way that Xbox does things. Xbox does things only in a monthly rate. and you can pay $10.95 a month for the Xbox Live Gold, which is the bottom tier, effectively. You can pay $10.95 a month for the Xbox Game Pass, which is effectively the middle tier, but they're the same price, but that's because Xbox Game Pass doesn't offer online multiplayer, Xbox Live Gold does, so you need to have both of them. Or for the third tier, the top tier, the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, it's $15.95 here a month in Australia. Now, PlayStation does things differently because it has a monthly rate and then it has an annual rate. So you can get billed once a year or once a month. Now, the once a month rate for PlayStation Plus here in Australia is $11.95. So more expensive. However, if you buy it for a year, that comes down to about $6.66 a month. So that's what the comparative plan is to Xbox Live Gold. So PlayStation Plus Essential will give you access to online gaming, cloud storage, exclusive deals, the basic stuff, which is what Xbox Live Gold offers. So the PlayStation Plus is significantly cheaper if you buy it in a yearly billing. For the middle tier, this one, as I mentioned, is $10.95. That's for Xbox Game Pass. That gives you the access to the big library and suite of games. It just doesn't give you the online multiplayer that you get from Live Gold. With the PlayStation Plus Extra, which is its middle tier, you get the library pass to all the access to all those games that you can download and play whenever you want. Games on demand is probably the best way to say it. But you also get the PlayStation Plus features of multiplayer play. So when you step over to the PlayStation Plus Extra size, the price of a monthly subscription goes up to $17.95 a month by my estimation here in Australia. So that's quite a jump up. However, if you get the annual plan, that drops right back down to around that $10.95 mark, which puts it on par with the middle tier on the Xbox. So you're looking at a pretty similar price there. Like I said, Australian prices haven't been finalized, but I expect it to be pretty much the same. When you go up to the PlayStation Plus Deluxe range, you're looking at up to $23.95 a month here in Australia, which is extremely big again. However, again, if you get the annual plan, that drops down significantly, and I expect it to come in at $14.95, if not $13.95 a month here in Australia, which will put it below the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate price. So how do these new services line up with what Xbox offers? This is the key, I guess, to the comparison I'm making here. Now, when we're looking at the very basic PlayStation Plus Essential plan and comparing that to the Xbox Live Gold plan, I think you're pretty much comparing the same thing. There's not much difference there. You're getting a couple of free games a month, between 2 and 4 free games a month, and you're getting access to online multiplayer, cloud storage, you're getting the ability to get some exclusive deals, that type of thing. So those two plans are pretty much the same, just PlayStation Plus is significantly cheaper when you just look at Xbox Live Gold on its own. When you look at the middle tier and the second and the third tier, that's when things start to get interesting. So the PlayStation Plus Extra tier, which is the middle tier, is compared with the Xbox Game Pass tier. Now, the key feature on this tier is the access to the games on demand library. Now, PlayStation is saying it'll have up to 400 games available on that library from the PS5 and PS4 era. Obviously, significantly more the PS4 era because there's just not that many PS5 games out at the moment. With the Xbox, you get about 100 to 150. They say 100 plus, they've always said 100 plus. It's much closer to 150 if you actually count it up. So both offer, like, let's be serious, both offer enough, more than enough games for any one human to try and play, probably in their lifetime. But on paper, the PlayStation looks significantly better on that tier. The thing is that PlayStation will not release first-party exclusive games on day and date with the retail release. So there'll be some sort of delay. And we don't know how long that delay will be, but it could be a year or even more before you're able to play the biggest first-party Sony games if you have the PlayStation Plus Extra subscription on your PlayStation 5 console. On the other hand, on Xbox Game Pass's middle tier, you get access to every single first-party game the day that it comes out at no extra cost. And that is a huge difference, especially when you consider that Microsoft has been extremely aggressive with its acquisitions in recent years. There's been a litany of them that they've done, but the two biggest are Bethesda, which includes all of the id Software games as well. So they own Bethesda and they own Activision Blizzard. So all of Activision's titles, your Call of Duty, your Tony Hawk's, your Guitar Heroes, and all of Blizzard's titles, Overwatch, Diablo, Warcraft, that type of stuff, right? So they're now all first-party Microsoft titles, and all of their titles moving forward and now are available day and date on Xbox Game Pass. Sony is also making some acquisitions of its own, just bought Bungie, for example, who developed Halo originally, but now developed Destiny, and have, like, PlayStation, Sony's first-party games are freaking unreal. Like they're Horizon, Uncharted, God of War, These games are really, really fantastic. Gran Turismo, but you won't be able to play them on that middle subscription tier. So even though there's more games available on the PlayStation Plus Extra on video games on demand service, the fact that the brand new releases, the console exclusive releases, the big deal if you own the PlayStation won't be on that service, but they will be on the like-minded service for the Xbox, means the Xbox still comes out on top by quite a margin there, in my opinion. When we step it up to the PlayStation Plus Deluxe tier, which goes with the Xbox Pass Game Ultimate tier, well, that's where they are comparing each other there. I think it's get pretty murky again. So the big feature on this tier really is the ability to do cloud streaming. So that's your ability to play any available game on the PlayStation or the Xbox library on any device. That could be a TV or a mobile phone or whatever like that. So pretty cool, right? The thing is that cloud streaming on Xbox is released in much more countries than cloud streaming on PlayStation. So even though it is available in this tier, it's not available to all countries, including Australia. So Australians will not get access to cloud streaming, at least in the foreseeable future, on that PlayStation Plus Deluxe tier, therefore nerfing it quite considerably. We do have access to xCloud on the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate tier. In addition, the PlayStation Plus Deluxe tier will only offer you access to retro games. So you're talking about PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 and PSP games, which you'll be able to download and play. If you're a retro gamer, that's kind of cool, but hardly anything that's going to blow your mind. And it also offers game trials, which is a timed period where you can access certain games and play them before you have to pay to play the full game. Now, the game trials thing sounds kind of cool, but if those game trials are of first-party exclusive games, it's kind of not that cool, because on Xbox Game Pass's middle plan, which is far cheaper, you get all those first-party games, the full game, included at no extra cost. So the fact that you have to pay extra to get the deluxe service here, and then you only get access to a bit of those games, is hardly also mind-blowing. When you compare it to what Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate combines the Live Gold and the generic Game Pass, or the middle tier Game Pass, together. So this is where you unlock the two $10.95 plans here come together to a $15.95 plan. So you're obviously getting better value there, and that kind of makes it comparable to getting the PlayStation Plus, I guess, and the middle tier PlayStation Plus. Thing is, that's not all you get when you get Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. This also unlocks access to a PC Games Pass. So all of a sudden you've got access to a huge library of games on your PC. It accesses the ability to play games on Android devices. It also gives you access to EA Play. So you get access to all of the games that are available on EA Play at no extra cost. And that's, I counted them last night, there's 88 games on there in a moment. That's going to increase to be 100 more additional games soon. That includes all of the big EA games. So your FIFAs, your Battlefields, your Mirror's Edge, your Mass Effects. And now EA just recently bought Codemasters, so that also now includes Dirt and Grid and F1 games as well. So you get access to all of that EA Play stuff on top of everything else. So it's not apples for apples in this comparison. The PlayStation Plus Deluxe plan is considerably less exciting than the Game Pass Ultimate plan, even though price-wise, they're probably only going to be about $1 or $2 different at best every single month. At the end of the day, how does the new PlayStation Plus change the landscape on which video game console you should buy? Look, the reality is if you already own a PlayStation 5, the new plan is fantastic news. This is going to be a big money saver for you. All of a sudden, you can just pay a subscription fee, and from a monthly subscription fee, you get access to pretty much an endless supply of video games that you can play. So that's a great big win. And if you're looking at deciding between the two consoles and you really wanted to get a PlayStation Plus, but you were just worried about that expense, then that's probably enough to push you over the edge. If the idea of playing VR and the cool DualSense controller, and you're in love with those first-party games like God of War and Horizon and so forth, then the fact that there's now an option for a video game on-demand service with the PlayStation 5 is definitely a huge win. However, for me, the fact that you cannot get those first-party games day and date on that service is a huge negative, because most people want to play the brand new games, right? And when I thought about it and I went, look, Halo Infinite was the last big Xbox exclusive that came out, and it cost $100 here in Australia. And when I did the maths, I could get 9 months of the Game Pass service and access to Halo Infinite and all these other games for 9 months for the same price as that one Halo game. And when you start looking at the maths like that, you start going, well, geez, the Xbox Series X is still going to save me a lot more money in the long run. And when you think about the fact that they've now got Activision and they've now got Bethesda as well, then that just becomes a more compelling argument. So I'm not trying to pay Sony out here. I'm really stoked that they've done this. I think it's really important they've done this. They've done a great thing for their existing customers, and they're definitely going to lure some new customers as a result. But in terms of usurping Xbox as being the best value money for choice for families and gamers on a budget in 2022, it doesn't quite get there. I'm Stead from Finder. Thank you for watching. Until next time, happy gaming.